You right, Steve?
Hello, you alright?
Listen, yeah, what was you talking about earlier? Something about Russia.
Well, I started on Rat Boy. He's been arrested by...
And we're live streaming now, you know.
Rat Boy's been arrested by counter-terrorism.
What? How you know that?
Have my sources.
Well, you find out today.
Wow, I knew it was on the cards yesterday.
Okay.
And he's going to be given a banning order, not coming here
I knew
today.
it was old, but not that ancient.
Don't know. Probably depend on the conclusion of the matter.
You said counter-terrorism.
Apparently so.
So what's he doing? What's terrorism?
Threatening to behead people.
Yeah. Well, have you seen that yourself?
Well, he put a video out. A video out came out, was it Friday?
Who's going to behead? What, for political reasons?
Jamie Goddard.
For political reasons, yeah.
I don't know for what. I
That's
personally think...
terrorism, isn't it? If you're just threatening someone with violence.
Well, it's probably because of the crowd that he hangs out with that it combined with the fact that he was threatening to behead people, probably is the thing that tipped it over into why counter-terrorism would be interested.
Don't you think it was important to talk about the shooting in America than talking about Omar?
Which shooting? What happened?
Are you trying to control the news?
No, I'm not. I'm not. You know what I mean. The news that a white supremacist went to a child naming ceremony in America, shot 8 Jews.
Is it?
Yeah, it's on the news.
Okay, I didn't know, man. No,
So
no,
it's,
what's the news
yeah,
down
Florida. So Steve finds out Omar news is more important.
Are you saying Speaker's Corner is not the centre of the world? Are you seriously suggesting that we are not
When you talk about Omar, the nobody, you're giving him something that he
Apart
can...
from when we were doing it over there, how often do you hear the subject of Brexit being discussed here? That's pretty important currently, isn't it? But no one ever speaks about it here.
I did with you.
So, yeah, no, exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. But other than you and I, obviously, higher intellect than...
But it's people, like, if the spice is not in Brexit, the spice is not in America, the spice is where? Muslims and Islam. So everybody wants to talk about Muslims and Islam. That's
sad, isn't it?
It is sad. To be honest, it is sad. It is sad. And we never learn.
No. Will that ever change?
I think it's in our... See,
Was it in your blood?
no,
not
it's
to
in,
learn?
it's in our nature that we forget quickly.
Why?
No, because when we went to the First World War, we said we learned our mistakes. Then we went to Second World War,
Oh, when
and
you
then
say,
we
when you
said,
say we, who you
we,
just meant?
humanity.
Right.
That then we said, oh, Second World War happened, and they said, you know what, we learned our lessons. And then after the Second World War, so many conflicts, so we never learn. We just forget about it and live the way we want. Don't you think that's the problem, that we forget? We shouldn't forget.
No.
And remind our new generation that, listen, we did mistakes. Let's not you do the
And
mistakes.
therefore, what you're talking about, or one aspect of what you're talking about, is education of our children. Do you know the quality of history education in our schools these days? It's appalling.
It is.
Absolutely
I agree with
appalling.
you. I agree with you. I agree with you.
And particularly because now kids are growing up without even grandparents that were in the war or any of those two big wars. They're not learning it from their families often either. And I think that's an appalling situation.
The real problem is you say we must learn from our mistakes. Each generation starts with the same aggressive dislike
Yeah.
of other human beings.
I agree.
And you cannot get rid of that. We don't learn from our mistakes because they're all the same.
How are we going to fix that?
We aren't. You can't. It's genetic.
But that's not children. Children don't see differences. They're polluted by the adults.
No. The adults are polluted. We are polluted by our genetics.
No, I don't. I disagree. See children, see toddlers in the play school, in the playgroup, playing together. They don't see that kid's black, that kid's Chinese, that kid's poor, that kid's rich. Children, toddlers, babies don't see the
Because
difference.
they grow up in the same way as children don't start wrecking each other. They become aggressive.
So
They're
don't,
polluted by their adults.
so don't you think we should get rid of nationalism?
We should get. No, I don't have a problem with
think you
nationalism.
can.
We should get rid
So
of.
I
We
should-
should have get rid.
You just said in the playground they don't know nothing, and then it's us. We tell them this is black, this is white.
Yeah.
So when I teach my kid that as a British, be proud, and we are the best.
But you can be, in my view, you can be British and black. You can be British and white. Saying you're British, being a nationalist, has got nothing to do with colour, in my view.
But some people in this country, they don't think like that, like you.
True. But I'm not one of them.
but you support them.
Steve, I heard you was the leader of Generation Identity.
No. I disagree.
You
with
got him there now.
I disagree with what I understand the core of Generation Identity is, because they're obsessed with ethno-states
No, but
and
we know what nationalism
ethnocentrism,
does.
and that to me is absolute
We know
bollocks.
from history. We are forgetting and we are going back to nationalism. Hitler was a nationalist.
Nationalism has got nothing to do with ethnicity.
It has.
No, wasn't it?
Yeah, we're
Hitler a
tribal,
nationalist?
but our tribes aren't based solely on colour.
They're based on colour, they're based
They're
on
based on class, they're based on sexuality, they're based on...
So my point was, should we get rid of nationalism then?
We should get rid of faith-based education. Look at Northern Ireland. Can we just look at Northern
No, let's
Ireland?
go to nationalism back.
The biggest
No,
problem
faith,
with
faith.
Northern Ireland that
We're
you
not
could
talking
solve
about
like
faith
that
here.
is
No,
take
we're not
religion
talking
out of
about
schools.
faith, no, nationalism.
Catholic kids are taught to hate Protestant kids.
No, nationalism.
and that's
I
going
think
on
the
now
problem.
in this country.
Let's deal with nationalism first.
Muslim kids are being taught to hate the West in many Muslim schools. Many of them illegal. The first one prosecuted successfully in Southall, on Uxbridge Road, near the Iron
It must
Bridge.
be. It must be.
And it's shocking. I dread to think how many thousands and thousands of kids are being educated in illegal schools, or schools that are not following the curriculum, schools that are poisoning these young, vulnerable kids' minds with hate towards other people. It's awful. That's what we need to tackle.
But the same way that those, let's say, out of 10 schools, 2 schools will be like that. Yes?
Out of,
10 schools.
hopefully
Let's
less,
say 3.
hopefully less than that.
Let's
but-
say 3. Let's say 3. So don't you think the same sort of people doesn't exist in other communities, which when they say your color, your culture is better than that brown?
It's going on in Jewish
thank
schools.
you.
It's
So
going
you
on in Muslim
agree?
schools.
Of course.
It's going on in Christian schools.
So then we cannot say that it happens only in Muslim communities.
Although actually I just said it happens in Christian schools. I don't think Christian kids are being taught to hate Muslim kids.
No, we agreed that horrible people exist in every community
And they should
society.
be kept as far away from educating children
Thank you.
as
I
is
agree.
possible.
I agree. I'm
And
not
they're
going there. No, I am trying to say to it's unfair for you to say only this problem is with the Muslims.
I don't think I did say that.
But you brought
I
only...
think it's your victim.
No,
I think it's
no,
your
I'm not trying to be a
victimhood
victim. No,
that,
I'm not.
that made you say that.
I'm not trying to be a victim here. Please don't get me wrong.
It's the same when,
you know,
when
you
two
know
people
I
are talking about Muslim grooming
Okay,
gangs.
okay.
Suddenly say, "Oh, why are you saying all Muslims are paedophiles?" No one's saying that. You got no. You're the one that's generalising,
But,
not
the
me.
guy you support, he says that.
No, he doesn't.
Okay, does Tommy Robinson say that the problem is Islam?
He does not say all.
Yeah, he doesn't
Yes,
say all Muslims.
not that's not more Muslims, is it? He's saying the ideology is the problem, not the people.
1.6 billion people follow that ideology.
To hugely varying degrees. Yeah.
It doesn't matter, but their basis, the book they read, is only one book. So by saying Islam
Interpreted
teaches,
very differently by different groups.
Steve, don't go here and there, please. I'm saying no.
Because you're trying to make them
No,
one
do you believe that
amorphous
Islam
group.
teaches hatred?
Are you seriously saying there are no things in the Quran that are
I'm
not
saying
hateful?
core message of Islam, which is.
And that's an interpretation, because there isn't the book doesn't summarize in chapter
So
1.
why
this is the
would
core
you
message,
believe?
does it?
Why would you believe the minority's interpretation, but you will not agree with the majority of interpretation?
Because the point might be argued that the minority have got,
correct.
have got the true,
Seriously?
the literal, the true, the absolute, the literal.
So why is not necessary that the minorities in this country, which call for nationalism and racism, they might be true then?
I don't think they are, but yes.
So why did you point out at the
And that's the
minority of
beauty
the
of free
Muslims?
speech, isn't it? To
No, we are going
analyse
somewhere else
and
now.
to-
Steve, please. I asked you that you believe in the minorities who believe.
I didn't say I believe in.
No, you just said.
No, I said they
That's
might.
the true
I
Islam.
said they might do. I said people might say.
No, it's not.
You're wasting my time. Your time, apparently.
No, it's not.
See, that's the attitude. That's the attitude. Why did you come to Speaker's Corner?
No,
to
but
say
you
that?
cannot say this is his attitude because he's a Muslim. You cannot say that.
No, and I didn't, did I?
No, come on.
You're
Steve.
trying to put words into my mouth, aren't you? That's about 3 things that you
No,
tried to
I mean,
put
no,
words into my mouth.
I mean, no.
You see 3 things you tried to put into your mouth.
I am not.
I know, it's
No,
disgusting,
he's
isn't
an
it?
intelligent man.
It's full up now.
He's an intelligent man. He knows what he. I'm not.
You're not talking about Steve, are you?
Why would anyone want to do that?
Well, when he said an intelligent man, I knew he was mistaken.
There you get that man. Very good. You don't get many of them now, do you?
You know, intelligent man?
It's relative, isn't it?
Well, the way you
I think you're reasonably intelligent.
thank you, but the way you put yourself.
But intelligence is different to common sense, is different to sense. It's just one.
I agree. But my point was that when you make a big point of the minority, then you shouldn't. But then you shouldn't. When you brush every Muslim or the whole religion of Islam with the minority, then you should give me the right to brush all of.
Am I brushing them all by the minority?
When you say
Am
Islam,
I brushing
yes.
you by the?
When you say
idiots?
Islam, yes.
But that's not you.
But I believe that
You've got your own interpretation and version of it. They've got another,
I have
and there'll be
my-
lots and lots of other different.
I have interpretations what the Prophet told me. But it's not. See.
And what would they say in answer to that question?
To what?
So the minority extreme,
Yeah.
or however we want to describe them, wouldn't they say something very similar to what you've just said? I'm taking it at its word.
Then you should say no. You're wrong.
Well,
You're
I don't
liars.
think- I don't think I'd be in a position to do that, would I?
No, but why do you agree with the minority? Why not with the majority?
Well, I don't agree with any of them. Do I?
So that's the point. You exactly don't agree.
I don't agree with
message
any of them,
Islam.
but I see that
So
some
you have a
are
problem
more
with
dangerous
Islam.
than others.
So you have a problem with Islam itself.
Well, I have a problem with all religions
Oh, okay.
to greater or lesser degrees.
That's fair enough.
But it would
But
also
you
be
always
honest
talk
to
about
say
Islam.
I have a bigger problem with Islam
Why would you have that?
because what I see of it and the impact across the world and across my country, my community, concerns me.
What has Islam impacted?
Choice because there is no law or practice to ensure all halal slaughtered meat is labelled as such. That's one case. Another case which I've spoken on frequently is that many local authorities, including the local authority I live in, and I think it might be yours or you, Hounslow,
Yeah.
you're over the border in
Yeah.
Hounslow. So I'm Ealing. The state schools in Ealing, well, I don't know about all of them, certainly the one that my child was, had a 100% halal menu.
Okay.
So no choice, unless he wants to eat a veggie burger, which he did from time to time. There was no choice for my child to eat anything other than a halal menu in a British English school.
Fair enough.
So that's another point.
Then my
Do you want to
argument
challenge
is
those before I go on?
Yeah, because then my argument comes. Tell me which food minister or our prime minister, or who is Muslim that who's putting is Muslims are saying everybody should halal food.
Often,
wait.
lily-livered,
Let me finish. I let
white,
you finish.
middle.
It's not the Muslims then.
But they're doing it for the alleged benefit of the Muslim community.
But this country says we respect everybody's view.
If Islam didn't
are
exist, the problem wouldn't exist.
I thought this country gives you freedom of religion.
Yes.
So if a Muslim can't practice his religion, then this country should claim this country is not a free
that should
country.
be solely and forcefully directed that we have one law for all. That's something I strongly believe in.
Should we
But
take...
we've gone down the road of not having one law for all. Because through our process of democratic, secular democracy, we've decided what rules should apply to animal slaughter.
Yeah.
Along have come two ancient religions and said, oh, we don't like that, we want to do that in another way. We've just rolled over and given explicit exclusions in the law to them. So therefore, we just on that one subject alone,
Yes.
we do not have one law for all.
No, because we shout from the top of the mountain, freedom of religion.
And our tolerance in this country is so great.
Answer my question.
We change our law.
Answer my question.
We change our law to placate.
Do we shout in the West, in England, that we as a country respect the freedom of religion? Do you agree with me?
Does that mean that you can marry 4 wives? Does that mean you can throw a homosexual off that hotel rooftop?
Why did you take?
Does that mean you can chop my hand off if I thieve something from your house? Where do you draw the line?
How did you think
Where
that
do you
I
draw
say
the
that?
line? We have to have one law for all.
Okay, tell me that I ever gone and said, you know what, I want law
I'm
to chop
not
hands.
saying you personally as an individual has
No,
done
but I'm a
that.
practicing
You're
Muslim.
saying
I will not eat other than halal food. I pray 5 times. I try my best. I go to the letter of Islamic law and Islamic Sharia law into
Your
my
version of
personal
your
life.
interpretation of.
Please, I gave you the chance. So me as a Muslim, I'm saying I agree with you that if they're not labeling, if they're force-feeding people halal food, it's wrong. But is it the fault of Muslims?
If they're labelling, how did you know it was halal then?
Because it's just go and ask Tesco's. Just go and ask Sainsbury's. The only supermarket chains, as
Let's
far as
not
I'm
divert
aware,
the
that
conversation.
you know
Let's
are
keep
going to
the
label it
conversation, no.
are Morrison's and Waitrose. I'm told that they're the only supermarket chains you can reliably.
Let's go back to the conversation. You
And
told me
go and
the
ask
problem.
Ealing Borough
Wait,
Council.
the
And I
first
suggest
problem you
probably
said-
every other. Because my school went to the school and the menu is published and it
ask him
states
the
it in the
original
school
question.
menu.
It says halal. So they
For
know
school
that it's
menu.
halal.
What time did you arrive? We've covered 2 points.
just came in.
Okay,
Okay,
fair enough. So
here.
the first point was that
you
not
talking to
all,
him now?
not all
I'll go.
halal slaughtered meat is labelled as halal slaughtered meat.
Because I wanna
That's
stick
one
to the
issue.
point.
A second issue is that many local authorities only provide 100% halal menus in the schools for the school lunches. Two separate issues.
Whose fault is it? Muslims.
The councillors, the,
Thank you.
the
So
government.
so it's the fault of councillors, not the Muslims.
We're talking about the problem.
Yeah, you said one of the problems because of Islam and Muslims that they feed you halal food, and you
I didn't
agree.
say they feed me.
Yeah.
Ealing Borough Council
But
feed me.
you put the problem
Tesco's
into Muslims.
feed me.
So blame
Well,
Tesco.
I'm not going to blame the Jews for it, am I?
So why are you blaming Muslims?
Because it comes from their religious belief. Okay, it might be, as I pointed out, white left-wing councillors that enforce these problems, but it's
mean
emanating
left-wing?
from the Quran, from the religion.
Yeah, but when we say freedom of religion, then religion comes under freedom of that. When you're religion,
the
you can
free-
practice your religion, isn't
So
it?
the freedom of religion that Britain gives is that we suddenly change the laws that we've decided through our
So I
process
could,
of democracy.
okay, when you say freedom of religion, you should dictate my religion first,
If
then
I, want,
should believe.
if I want to go and live in Saudi Arabia, I've got to realise I can't walk down the street with a
Now
bottle of
you're
beer.
bringing straw
Why
man.
does the equivalent
Straw
not?
man.
No, it's not.
Straw
Why
man.
does the equivalent
We
not
live in
apply
Britain.
here? Britain has to change and bend for Islam, but
Saudi-
Islam won't change and bend for anyone around the
Straw
world.
man, straw man.
How is that a straw
Does
man?
Saudi Arabia claim to be freedom of religion?
Okay, Iran. You know,
Freedom-
what
is
Muslim
Ila-
country do you want me to give
Does
you?
Iran claims to be the freedom of religion? Are they a free society like Britain?
No.
Why are we talking about it then? We live in England, let's talk about England. Please don't jump. Steve, don't run away.
I'm not running away. I'm not running
to the
away.
point.
Believe me.
Because we
Let's not go into Saudi,
We-
Iran. We are in England.
because we accommodate in this country, we
Yeah.
have this. It is a problem
Okay.
where we've got standards that should apply to everyone. Because we are a very progressive country where we tolerate homosexuals.
What do you mean by progress?
Well, because we tolerate homosexuals, we have equality for women, and as we accommodate Islam, there are certain things in Islam that aren't quite as accommodating or tolerant, and we're sort of turning that blind eye and looking the other way.
Don't turn blind eye.
Well, that's what I
Just
say.
change the motto. No freedom of religion. Simple.
Well, you can,
Anything. I'm not gonna.
you can have freedom of religion.
You should.
You might have an argument there.
So you're gonna dictate to me what should I believe and not believe? No. So you're gonna dictate to me what should I believe and not
What I'm
believe?
saying is, I
What
think
can
we
I
should have-
practice? What I
I
cannot?
think we should have principles that apply to everyone.
your principle
and
is
where-
better than mine?
And where religion crosses, then
Yes.
that's it. I don't think
So
we
you're
should have a
superior
religion-
than me.
Well, a Saudi would say they're better than us.
We don't
A
live in
Turk
Saudi. Why
or
are you
Thai
going to
or
Saudi?
whatever country,
Why are you
whatever
going to-
country.
why-
Every country is going to think it's better than the
Let's
others,
talk about
aren't they?
England. This country gives us the freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and freedom of expression. If anybody exercise these three rights, what is wrong with it?
But we should have the freedom of the rights first.
Then we
and
are not
where-
free.
And where religion doesn't cross it and a conflict with
So
it,
secularism-
we should say, yeah, we'll
so
tolerate that, but anything else, we should say, sorry, we can't do it. We can't have halal. We can't have...
So you're not a tolerant society.
No, we are
Well, not
tolerant.
of-
We're
not of
you
tolerant.
just
ritual
told me I
slaughter,
cannot have
no.
halal.
Because
We're
as
not
a society,
we're not
we've
tolerant
said
of ritual
that
slaughter, no.
has to have a certain way.
But you claim to be a freedom of religion.
But are there any parameters to that? Could anyone come here from any
What is
religion
freedom?
and say,
What
my
is
religion
freedom?
says says I can do X, Y, and Z, and you don't think we should stop that?
There's a fundamental
Anything,
paradox.
anything.
What?
How can you have a society that accepts homosexuals but then have a religion that doesn't accept homosexuals? Pragmatically, there
Because
has to be
the
a point where you
society,
say
because
there's a paradox
the
here. We can't have
society
both
I
things.
live, the society I live is a secular society.
Exactly.
I
but
should
is
obey
Islam-
by the secular
But
society.
is Islam welcoming the homosexuals? How many out homosexual do you know within Islam? There are not many, and those who are really under a lot of pressure. You can only, you look at Pink News. Islamic person got married to a man last year under British law, and he received hatred of a scale unbelievable.
Everybody
from the Islamic
does.
community. Not
No,
everyone.
everybody
This is
doesn't.
very specific from the Islamic community. That is a problem.
Okay, when you go to the Jewish area,
There are problems in the Jewish community.
thank you.
There's problems in the
So
Hindu
problem is
community.
everywhere.
No,
No,
in
not
religious
everywhere.
communities. I'm saying that we should have a standard that we apply to
Now
the
you
secular.
are denying reality.
No, we're not.
We know, but
Where
good-
did you draw the
is it
line?
not-
You just said, oh, but we're supposed to have freedom of religion here, so therefore we should be able to do whatever we want according to our religion.
Yeah.
You are saying that.
No, if I'm
Even if it's in
allowed-
contradiction to the state law.
What is contradiction?
Treatment of
in a-
homosexuals, not discriminating, not harassing homosexuals.
As a Muslim, I claim that my religion tells me what a person does in his bedroom is nothing to do with me.
What if he does it out of his
But
bedroom?
we've got people, we've
But
got
who does
Muslims
it?
that will not come here
It's just a
anymore.
question.
Are we saying gays having sex on the streets?
Some do. Have you not been to Hampstead?
Have you not heard dogging? It's not a gay thing specifically.
How
but-
many
know.
no,
You're a taxi driver, you must.
double life.
But if-
and you know it's true. There are so many homosexuals within Islam that have to get married, have to do all of the bits and pieces and make it look like they're living a heterosexual life, but they're living a double life. And that isn't acceptable in this society anymore. And Islam, an Islamic society in this country has to realise that cannot last. That's the only way forward. And you will
Yeah, but
continue having the
where
hostility and the
an
resistance
Islamic
to
group
accept that.
rose and went to the parliament and said, we don't agree with this law.
All this media was
Put it up.
It's gonna move my camera over there. Come back.
You
Not good enough now.
you know my religion better than me.
No, I'm saying I know people because I don't care about religion first. I
Yeah,
care about people. I care about people and the principles we have in this country. That means that everybody
No,
has the same
tell
right.
me
It doesn't matter
which
if they're born
Muslim
Islamic or whatever.
which Muslim
a
group-
homosexual who is born within Islam should have the right to be just like I have the right, though I'm not a homosexual. But it's awful because it's not
Where,
like
in this country,
it's not like
yeah?
Islam.
In this country.
In this country, I can if I want to be
You're off.
homosexual,
Take
I
care.
can be one.
Yeah,
but
you can.
But
Who cares?
if I'm born within Islam, I can't be a homosexual because you have socialising factors that completely oppress people.
That's
No,
not true though.
Well,
You
really?
just said earlier that you knew a Muslim guy who was gay.
he was not out.
And what did he
There
suffer
there
when
are
he-
the number of out
It's fucking people
homosexuals.
are chatting shit to you. Like I'll chat shit to you now.
Yeah, but
like,
that's
what does it
not
matter?
reality.
You know, it
If
means
you're
nothing,
within
you
Islam,
know?
No, you
It
can
means
come
nothing.
here, say anything.
people
I
say
can't.
nasty
I
things,
know.
but
I don't
You're
have to
a
believe
reasonable
you.
guy. I know you're a reasonable guy.
Goes
But
beyond
if
saying
you,
nasty
if you are
things, doesn't
out
it?
within Islam, then you are going to face. doesn't
People have
matter
been beaten
how
black
many
and blue
reasonable
in Tower
people you've got
Hamlets,
around you
walking
within
down their
Islam.
street with their
You are
boyfriend.
going to come up across people.
You shouldn't be
who
beaten
will
black and
give
blue
you
because you're
the
walking
truth.
hand in hand with your
You will be
boyfriend.
cast
should
out
you?
by people. And that, even in the Christian church, that has only changed in the last few decades. But it has changed because the Christian church has realised, and I'm not a Christian, and there's lots of things about the Christian church I'm not in favour with, but they've realised this ain't going to fly anymore. We're going to have to change a few things because otherwise we're in real trouble. And Islam's going to have to figure that out. Because
Figure
a
what
lot-
out?
Figure out that you can't,
needs to
you
change.
can't stick to your doctrinal beliefs.
Who says that?
Society is starting to
So
say it.
your way of thinking is superior than me. Then you're telling me
It
what
is,
is
yeah.
In
really
most
bad.
societies around the
Yeah,
world,
because
they're
religion
becoming
has to-
more.
Religion has to be second to secular belief now and to secular rights.
Okay.
And that's in this country.
No, but no
Freedom of
religious-
religion doesn't mean domination of religion over
No,
our
when
basic
you get
principles.
no. I'm not saying domination because I can show you no Muslim party emerged in the West or in
It has in Belgium. What are you talking about?
Okay, I'm talking about England.
Increasingly
England
powerful party in Belgium.
Went to Parliament and said, we as a Muslim want to change that law. We don't like it because our religion says so.
Happening in Belgium, and it will happen here eventually.
You're gonna say anything to make
secular
yourself.
law always has to have
Come
primacy.
on.
It's factual.
Well, that's Belgium, ain't it?
Secular law always has to have
That's
primacy.
Belgium, they're
That's
not.
Belgium, ain't it?
Talk about England.
Are you dissing Belgium?
We can never have it where religion in this country ever again has
No, but
primacy
nobody
over
is
secular law.
throwing
We can
gays
never have it
in
where
England
secular
from the
rights
top of the
are
building. What are you
subsumed
talking
by
about?
religious
Religion is the
concern.
base for our law.
Yeah, but it isn't anymore. Charles Bradlaugh, who made this place exist because Charles Bradlaugh, who was the biggest secularist and Republican you could ever find, came and he fought when he was outside of Parliament to ensure we had this place. That's why all you guys are stood here right now, because a secularist and a Republican
You
fought
can't
for
call
your
yourself
right to
secular
be
when
here
you condemn
150 years ago.
my belief.
No,
Why
I'm
not?
Because you're telling
But
me
I'm saying
I
it's
should
progress.
believe the way you believe.
Progress. The only reason you've got a platform to fight on here is because of secularism.
That's what he just said.
I agree with it. Because my religion tells me I can tell.
I know you do, yeah.
What did I say? He said, I'm a secular person. I give you freedom of religion.
Yeah, but he's saying
No.
secular.
No, I don't say I give you freedom of religion.
No, but
I say
he gonna
I say we
modify
can
my
tolerate
religion.
religion within the
Then tell
parameters
me what to
of
do.
there being never crossing with the law.
Your religious law.
In this country,
Surely you
yes,
could
it
just
is.
keep going with that, you know. You
I
could just be
agree.
like, oh, well,
My religion
we'll
tells
tolerate
me
your
that.
religion for now, but then, you know, as soon
Sharia
as you don't like something else, you'll go, oh, well, we'll tolerate you as long as you don't do this as well. You
No,
know,
no,
that
I'm
as
saying
well.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I say we can tolerate anything that doesn't cross basic rights. If you want to believe in anything, that's fine. So the stops at the point you say, well, we don't tolerate homosexuals. In our society, in our street, we won't have homosexuals. We won't tolerate it. And it's not fair. It's not fair that people like, it's Paul, isn't it?
Paul Williams.
Paul does not feel comfortable coming here, or that everyone around the world can look at videos on YouTube of people coming here and calling him a batty boy and talking about him in terms that are not because he's within Islam and he's converted to Islam, knowing that he's a homosexual, knowing he'd get that grief. And you've got to say to him, I think he's done the wrong thing, but he's got some bottle for doing it. He's got a lot of bottle for doing it, and he stands on his principles.
Coming
But
here's a bit of
he
a
should
poor
be
example,
tolerated.
you know, this place is filled with fanatics. Like,
But it represents, typically it represents a wider problem.
If that was fanatical belief, if this intolerant homosexuals was not
that's
fanatical belief,
fanaticism.
then where are all the Islamic
Beyond that,
homosexuals?
beyond
Where are all the
that.
people within Islam that are homosexuals? Because you see them in every other walk of society. There are other religions where it's difficult. In Hinduism, it's difficult. In Sikhism, it's difficult. It's difficult, but why is it? But if it's not a societal problem, because it's not like magic that's stopping homosexuals born. They're there. They're out there. They're living very, very different lives to where white homosexuals are living. And that is a
Weed already? It's only 3 o'clock. That's what the hell, isn't it?
But I never.
I'm right. That's why you agree with me. It's a paradox. We are coming to a point where there is catch-22 after catch-22 situation. You can't put all of the people that particularly the left wing have encouraged, but it's becoming less of a left wing thing now. You can't put them all in the same room because they all hate each other. You can't put a room full of transgenders in a room full of Muslims and expect them to get along.
How do you know?
Should we try?
Should we do it?
Do you know the biggest? Okay,
Where are all the transgenders?
Okay, do you know?
This is a place for everyone.
Do you know the biggest
where are all the
operation?
transgenders? I see one or two
happens where?
transgenders.
The transgender. Do you know where it happens?
Oh, it happens a lot in Iran because
Thank
they won't
you.
tolerate homosexuals. Because they have a society, they
Oh,
have
you wanna bring another
laws,
point
they
now.
have policies that push
Never
people.
agree with
They
you.
push people.
Afghanistan
Yeah,
as well,
they
yeah.
push
the
people. They push people into becoming transgender because they won't accept homosexuals.
Afghanistan have their dancing
It's
boys.
erasure. I'm using the language of radical feminists. It's erasure. It's. You can't respond because I'm right. It's as simple as that.
No, I was speaking with the gentleman. I was speaking with the gentleman, so I lost the whole thing of where we're going. I was trying to explain myself. I was explaining to the gentleman that you are just I think you're scared.
I'm not scared of anything.
You are.
I'm a well-studied man. I'm a historian.
So you know everything.
I put everything into context. No, I believe in one thing. That as a society, every single person is born equal, and it doesn't matter what religion they're born into.
I agree.
And this country should protect everyone. If you can go to Christian Baker,
As long as you're not
and
Muslim.
say you must.
As long as you're not Muslim.
No. As you're a person. I think a Muslim that's born that's homosexual should have the right to grow up as homosexual. I think a woman that is born that is born into Islam.
No, but why are you
should
blaming
have
my religion?
I'm not blaming your religion. I'm blaming any religion.
So now you cheating?
You say, Raj, you ready now? Yeah.
Let me give my speech.
Alright, cool. One sec. Yo, fam, we want to film Raj's speech now still.
Oh, shit. Yeah, no problem. What are we doing with the lyrics? Shall I?
This name's on, innit?
What's going on?
Because I bet I'm looking at Matthew in the building.
Raj is just going to give his speech that he couldn't do last week. Coming over to listen.
You can believe whatever you want to believe. You can create, as you were saying, any world.
Oh my God! You should have tried to do a citizen's arrest.
And then remember our guy there,
I like Maku.
the gorilla man.
Maku,
Come
I
on,
bet
we
you're in the
got
building.
content.
Come on.
Nigeria love, Nigeria, Nigeria.
Say
Green,
peace-
white, green.
peace to them today, yeah?
Come on. My family, man. Come on.
Betty, nobody. Betty, nobody. Betty, nobody.
Come on. Yeah, go get them, man. There. Go get them.